Hey everyone, it is Civ, and I am here today to kind of introduce myself a little bit and kind of get started with the channel. I have quite a few chronic illnesses, most of which are in the process of us trying to figure out what they are. I have a lot of health issues, primarily when it comes to food. It's a lot easier for me to list the things I am not allergic to than the things that I am allergic to. I can eat plain meat, unseasoned. One of my biggest food allergies actually is garlic, which ironically, as a child, I will do a story time on this, but I thought I was a vampire for 7 years or so of my life. Genuinely believed I was a vampire. Anywho, I will do a video about that later. But now I am actually allergic to garlic. I also develop allergies spontaneously, without warning. I can't eat any berries at all, and that's anything with the seeds inside. Anything, including avocados for some reason. So all the gourds, pumpkins are out, zucchinis, pickles. One of the very few fruits I could eat was strawberries, which I ate all the time until I went into anaphylaxis after eating strawberries and yogurt. I have not been brave enough to try strawberries again. Also, I apologize if you hear the train that won't stop yelling. Anywho, allergic to all berries, garlic, which is in pretty much everything that knocks down like 99% of my options for food, unless it's like bread. Can't have oats anymore apparently, or sesame. What else? Coconut. That sends me into anaphylaxis, and it took me so long to figure that out because I had that like a lot, which probably explained why I was sick like every day for a long time. Anywho, but finally figured that out because I went into anaphylaxis twice. 2 days apart, because I had had something with coconut in it the evening before, and then I woke up in anaphylaxis. Had to go to the hospital. Great times. I've had to go 5 times in the past 2 months to the ER because of that. But now I have EpiPens, which, yay! Stinks that if I use them, I still have to go to the ER because it's expensive, but much less scary now that I have them, which I'm grateful for, because it was scary, to put it lightly. If you ask me if I can eat something, I can tell you yes or no, and most of the time it will be no. But yeah, I pretty much live off of beans, unseasoned beans, and plain chicken. I've learned how to make roast, because I can eat potatoes and carrots with roast. Kind of. My stomach's always upset, so it's kind of hard for me to figure out what messes it up and what doesn't. Yeah, lots of pain with that as well. So like the past couple of days, I've been in a lot of pain. So it's not been fun, which in turn makes my heart rate go insane. It's unspecified tachycardia. But when I did the table tilt test, both the nurse and the doctor who administered it was like, oh, you have POTS, right? And I was like, that's what I think. But then my doctor didn't want to give me the diagnosis for it. So it's just unspecified tachycardia right now. Even though my heart rate goes into like the 140s when I'm just brushing my teeth in the morning. Anyway, had to change the medication I was on for that because the one I was on stopped EpiPens from working. Which they didn't tell me that when I went to the cardiologist and I had told them about the anaphylaxis reactions. I found that out from the allergist I started going to. I was like, hey, by the way, I noticed you're on this thing that is propranolol that stops EpiPens from working as well. Did you know that? And I was like, I literally went to the cardiologist yesterday and they said nothing. And he was like, yeah, change that. So got that changed to a different one, and I don't think it's working. Okay. My blood pressure has to be above a certain point for me to even use it. And I am a small being, and my blood pressure just doesn't really ever get past that threshold very often. So I can't use it consistently, and even when I use it, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. So I have been exhausted the past 2 months because I My heart rate's just been insane in the membrane. A couple things about me other than health stuff aside, which a lot of this channel will kind of be focused on health stuff, trying to figure out what I have, and kind of that grueling process, because it took me 2 years to even get referred to a cardiologist. Anywho, some interests I have, which I will also share on here. It's just gonna kind of be a jack of all trades channel. We're going to have just kind of whatever suits my fancy, because I'm trying to be more consistent with things that I am doing outside of this. For one, I have a deaf ministry channel, and I'm hoping that by doing these little videos and daily logs, I can kind of keep myself a little more responsible with doing those as well, because if I'm posting these regularly, then I don't have an excuse to not post over there regularly, if you catch my drift. I also am an artist. 1 second, let me turn this around. So I paint, however, kind of, I guess, trigger warning for anyone who is upset by mental health things. I had a best friend pass away of her own volition about, it's not quite been 2 years. I've had 3 friends do that. 2 have been within the past 2 years. It's gonna be 2 years on November 11th for her. And then 11 years for my other friend on the 26th of November as well. And then my other friend's was on July 7th. It was his 2 years. So, been also going back to counseling, which is nice because I kind of needed a lot after that stuff went down. Or my friend, she was one of my biggest supporters for my paintings and stuff. The frog and toad one I showed you, and I'll put up a better picture of it. That was her favorite painting that she did, and she always was really, really supportive every time I made a new painting, which was every Friday, which we played D&D every Friday. And so her just not being around, my creative spark went out for about a year. To help combat that creative spark going away after that happened, 1, started going to counseling again. 2, I started to draw a lot again. Not painting, but drawing sketches. And I actually filled up my first sketchbook ever, which was really cool. I literally never have done that in my entire life. Even though I've been drawing my whole life, I will either lose sketchbooks or forget about them and then buy a new one. So I just never finished one. But my best friend, love you, bought me a sketchbook when I was really sick in January. And so I had been using that and drawing different book characters for a book that I'm writing, which I'll explain about in a second. And then also my D&D characters, because I am in quite a few games. It helps with my mental health. So I am in a lot of D&D games. Because if I am busy, I am safe. And so I enjoy the creative storytelling of it and seeing my friends multiple times a week. So there's that. Now, for the fun part of that. I could go about talking for hours, and so I will probably also make a separate video just talking about that. So, I am currently in the process of writing a book. It is essentially a book about a villain academy, and it is a lot of fun. It is my most recent obsession. I thought about this concept way back in high school, many moons ago, and it essentially was high school. I was like, what if there was an academy for like villains and heroes, and then there's a girl who like goes to the hero academy, but then she likes a villain boy, and so she goes over to the villain academy. Anyway, that was the basic concept. For some reason, last Thanksgiving, when I was off from school, I got a sudden burst of inspiration. That little thought that I had laying on my trampoline in the backyard suddenly popped back into my brain again, and I was like, I have to plot out this entire book. And so I did. I plotted out hundreds of pages of potential scenes and whatnot. And then in January, or well, Christmas-ish time, Christmas break, I started writing. And since January, I have written 285 pages, which is significantly more than I gave myself credit for being able to do. Just because I've had books in the past that I've been like, ooh, I really want to do this. And I have one, which I do plan on eventually rewriting, that I've been working on from like 6th, 7th grade onward. And I actually went to visit the city that takes place in last summer, and it was amazing. I just wanted to be there to see what it was like for the characters who live there, and like what it felt like, what it was like walking under the waterfalls, what it was like smelling the air, just everything about it, being in the nature, surrounded by the trees, just everything. I wanted to experience it before I revisited that. So eventually I will work on that again and change a lot of it, because I started writing it when I was like in 6th or 7th grade. I was a little boy crazy. Granted, it is really funny because the love interest is actually based off my husband, fun fact, because I've crushed on him since 6th grade. And there are relics of that in that writing. And so I've read to him things. I'm like, fun fact, this character, he wanted to wear a beanie because beanies are really cute, and you know why I wrote that, right? And he's like, yeah, my beanie phase. And I was like, yeah, that's correct. So it's quite fun. But the Sirius Villain Academy is so exciting, so cute, so fun, so full of life. All of the characters are so sweet. I'm excited for you to meet all of them. I will probably kind of document my writing journey and whatnot through there, because I'm thinking, if I have the capacity, I would like to make it a trilogy, maybe more. The train is back. So we'll kind of see. I'm hoping that maybe by the end of September I will have the first draft written of book 1, and we can move into book 2. Also, shout out to my sweet best friend who has been reading it as I've been writing, and I've been torturing her with all the cliffhangers of the chapters and everything that's going on. I appreciate and love you so much. Thank you for letting me shove evil writer back in the closet, because when they escape, they wreak havoc. Granted, some havoc has to be wreaked. The reckoning. Anyway, so I'm excited to share about that as well. I'll probably share some processes of animation and stuff on here, because I also, fun fact, want to learn how to animate. So I have been using my sweet characters as my muse to learn how to animate. So I will probably also put that on here. It's just gonna be literally everything on this channel. But anywho, welcome. I will be documenting chronic illnesses, passion projects, and just kind of general life experiences. Also, I have the ADHD, if you cannot tell. And this is going to be completely unfiltered, probably unedited, because I don't have time for that. But hopefully it will help me keep more consistent with the Deaf Ministry videos, as well as more consistent with writing, reading, drawing, animating, and such. So I will keep y'all updated. Thank you for watching, especially if you watched all the way. If you want to like and subscribe, you can. I'm happy to have you. I'm happy you're here, and I am happy you are alive. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you later.